It's been a little bit of time since I made a video on this channel, but with more comfortable weather here, I have something new for you today. Today we're going to be doing some candid street photography here in the Electric City, Scranton, Pennsylvania. Candid and street photography is actually some of my favorite photography to do because I love capturing people and objects in that moment. I'm be doing so with my two prime lenses. I have my 35 and 85mm prime lens, starting off with my 85. And as we have learned on my channel, prime lenses are fixed focal lengths. I can't zoom in or zoom out, which means I need to physically get creative and move closer or further away to properly compose the shot. So I invite you to grab your camera and to walk the streets with me, and let's capture some moments. A couple things to point out. First off, I am shooting with my Nikon D5600. It's a really bright, sunny day, which is good, but not so good. The good thing is that's going to provide plenty of light for our subjects. The negative part is that it could easily overexpose our shots. Now with shooting with prime lenses, this one can go down to 1.8 aperture, which means it allows in an incredible amount of light to really blur the background, give you that shallow depth of field. In doing so though, I need to make sure my ISO is down as low as it could go, down to 100. I have to really increase my shutter speed up to nearly max so that I don't overly expose my photos. So it's something I need to be leery of. Now, if I don't want to get a blurry background, I can increase the aperture and that'll help compensate for the bright conditions. But just want to keep in mind, we need to be very mindful of our settings because it can really make or break the photos. It's also going to make it incredibly hard for you to see the screen today too. So although I'm still going to hold it up and compose it, it is going to make it more challenging for you to see just because it is so bright out. I'm going to start right here. I got this little flower box here. And I want to focus on the flowers and get kind of the street in the background out of focus there. It's really blurred out. It's really blurred out. I'm going to increase the aperture a little bit higher so it's not as blurry. And I'm going to wait for a little break there so we can see what's going on. We can see there's some traffic. Yeah, that's a decent shot right there. We are going to head towards the city square, or courthouse square. Usually some people hanging out there, taking their lunch break, walking around. Should give us a few more opportunities. All right, I see a woman walking on the phone across the street. I'm going to try to capture her. So one good thing about using the 85mm prime lens is it allows me to capture some shots from a further distance. I don't need to be as close to properly compose a shot, especially if I don't want to invade on people's personal space. 85 is going to be perfect for that. Where at 35, I need to get a bit closer, a bit more intimate with my shots. All right, I think we're going to be in luck here. We got some individuals here walking around. I'm going to try to get these ones right here taking their walk. I do have a statue right here of a general and the clock tower behind it, the bell tower, so this might make for a good opportunity to get him in focus, readjust, and let's see how that looks. All right, I want a little bit more depth of field, so I'm going to lower my aperture down to 2.5, get a little bit more separation from the background. There we go. And right up here we have a bust of Jason Miller, the actor. He was in The Exorcist, he was also in Rudy, and he was a Scranton native. So let's see, how do I want to get the shot? So I got a shadow with him, so I don't necessarily want to get the shadow. I want to get him from this angle here, and we'll have the leaves as the background. I'm going to raise my aperture a little bit. Recompose, off center it. There we go. Jason Miller. I'm waiting for a shot. I'm going to try to get these two individuals on the bench here talking to each other. Sometimes being patient pays off. The gentleman was trying to feed the squirrels by hand, and a squirrel actually went up to him, took it out of his hand, and I captured that moment. We do have another statue right in front of us here. Let's see how it's going to look. Yeah, it's going to be hard to compose this one. I have a statue in the background. I think we could do statue and statue. I'm going to raise my aperture up to, let's see, 7.1. Going to focus on the one closest to us, recompose. That's not going to work from here. I have to get farther away. It's forcing me to get creative. I'm going to come over here to get the shot. Okay, I'm going to recompose, get both statues in the image here. It's a little dark. I'm going to raise my exposure compensation, retake that shot one more time. There, that's a little bit better. So we got statue in the foreground and background. Got a gentleman cleaning his bike here. We're working on his bike. Now the one thing I'm noticing with my 85mm prime lens is not a high price lens, it's more of a budget lens. Since I don't do this professionally, it's more of just a enjoyable hobby. This doesn't always take super crisp, clear photos. I do notice sometimes it's a little bit out of focus or a little bit soft looking, where my 35 or even like a nifty 50 is usually tack sharp and really crisp and clear. So you have to kind of allow for some error when using this 85. But it is a cost affordable lens that allows you for some great shallow depth of field. I think we're gonna like this shot once the traffic clears. I got another flower box here, multiple colors, and we got a nice shot in the background down Mulberry Street. So I'm gonna try this one here. Just gonna wait for the traffic to clear by so we have a nice clear backdrop. Okay, perfect. We got an individual crossing the street at the same time. So I got the flowers, got the man crossing the street, and a little bit of traffic. That's an ideal candid street photography shot right there. Okay, across the street we have a little old lady sweeping the sidewalk. She comes up from behind that pole. And let's have a bicyclist. Let's try to get him. There we go. Just waiting for her to turn around, get out of the shadows. I may need to move myself. Okay, here we go. I love that shot. It shows her doing her duty in motion, in action. You can tell exactly what the picture is of, and it's a nice, proper exposure. I'm happy with that. Got these two women walking across the street. That's a good one. I got a nice smile from the one. Just by coincidence. Captured it at the right time. Well, I got this gentleman crossing the road here, puffing on a cigarette. Good exposure on that one. Happy with that one. Now, this guy's just jamming out, having a good old time, getting some sun. I have to get a better photo of him here. There we go. A bit breezy out here. I did stop in this courtyard to change some things. I'm going to be changing the battery in the camera that you're watching on right now. I'm going to switch it to my 35 because my 85 did a good job. I think we captured a few good shots of people in their moment, but I do want to work on some more close-up stuff, so we're going to switch to my 35 lens. For this lens, I absolutely love. It allows for some great depth of field shots, also a 1.8 aperture, and it's just a crystal clear tack lens. I absolutely love it. Now, the one thing I want you to do is let me know if you notice a difference between the 85 and 35 millimeter shots. But one shot I do see here, which ideally I wouldn't use this lens for, but the opportunity kind of presented itself. It's the line of buildings here. We got a nice grouping of them, and this lens is wide enough that I should be able to get them from this distance. I just want to clear these cars here and get the church and those other buildings, and even possibly this giant work of art too, this mural that was just recently painted. So I think we could get maybe 2 different shots here. I'm going to raise up my aperture a little bit here. I'm going to raise up the camera. I know it's going to be underexposed, so I can raise my exposure compensation to 1.7. That way you can actually see the buildings. Okay, let's try 1.0 exposure compensation there. That's pretty good there. And let's see if we get this work of art. It's going to be difficult on this lens. I won't be able to have an ideal shot, but I think we can make it work and bring the exposure down. Focus on the gentleman in the foreground closest to us. Recompose. And let's try that shot there. I think that'll work. So we're walking up Penn Ave. There's a little cafe here. I may be able to get a few shots there. If not, we're going to continue straight down to Lackawanna Ave for the Steamtown Marketplace mall area, where there should be some objects or people that we could capture. Okay, I think I see something I can work with here. We do have a flower pot. I think I can get the flowers in focus and get the people in the background dining a little bit out of focus here. So let's try this one here. Trying to get a good flower to choose from here. I'm going to recompose. Okay, they're a little dark. Let me try to raise up the exposure compensation here. Again, focus on the flower and then the diners in the background. They're blurred out, so you can't even see their faces, which is good. Respects their privacy, but also you know if they are sitting there enjoying something as well. And we got some more beautiful flowers here too. Let's see what we can use for a background here. We do have flags in the background. We may be able to work with that. So I'm going to get the tip of this flower here right there. I'm going to recompose. Let's raise up the aperture a bit more. 6.3. Recompose with the flags in the background. Trying to wait for the flags to blow out so you can actually see them. Let's try that one there. Okay, just a little bit overexposed. Let me bring it down a hair, but I do like that shot. Again, focusing on that flower right there. Recomposing. Waiting for the flags to blow. I know there's a wind out there, waiting for it. There's a car. I don't care about the car. They got the flags flowing now. And I think that'll work right there. Yes, I do like that shot. One shot I think we could get once the cars clear out of the way and there's no cars coming is a shot straight down the road here at the Marketplace building. So there's a couple cars coming. I'm going to wait for them to clear. Then I'm going to stand in the middle of the road and get that shot straight ahead of us there. There we go. Good. I'm happy with that one. Okay, great shot I see right here. But I'm going to do it differently than I did before. With this flower pot, I'm going to have the flowers in the picture, but they're not going to be the main focal point. I'm going to have the art house as the main focal point, and the flowers will be out of focus. So let's line this up here. I think I need to bring down the exposure just a bit. So I want to get the art house right there in focus. I'm going to recompose with the flowers kind of peeking over them. Okay, a little bit too out of focus. You can't tell what the foreground is, so I'm going to raise the aperture. I'm going to try f8. Focus on the building. Recompose. There we go. Perfect. So you can see the art house and see that there's flowers I'm looking over to get that shot. Another shot I can grab here is the street sign with the traffic lights and the buildings in the background. Makes for a nice backdrop. There we go. And I had my aperture set at 3.5. I didn't want the background too blurry because the building is beautiful. I want you to be able to see that. I'm going to go to a little area called Renaissance at 500. There is a courtyard area here, but if you go up top, there's a bridge that allows you to go to a elevated park, which was a former rail line, and maybe be able to get some photo opportunities from up there. You can see the old tracks that came through here, the old signal tower, but down below here is active railroad tracks that Steamtown and Delaware-Lackawanna uses. And I know they're running Baldwin 26 steam locomotive, and it does pass through here. Depending on where it's heading right now, there's the whistle. We may be able to get a shot of it passing through, but I think it actually just parked at the roundhouse and is going to be unloading the passengers, so not sure when the next one will be coming through, but let's just walk around here. Maybe we'll get something that catches our attention and says, hey, capture me in the moment. Honestly, this building itself is worthy of a photo. It's pretty historic, and I'm going to compose it so that we're kind of looking over the fence here, like a leaning over shot here. Okay, it's a little bit underexposed. Let's raise that exposure compensation to 1. Focus, recompose behind the fence here. There we go. I'm gonna walk around, see if I find any more shots worth capturing. In the meantime, I'd like you to check out my MFS OTD, my favorite shots of the day. I think we did a pretty good job doing some candid street photography here in the Electric City, better known as downtown Scranton, Pennsylvania. It's a really bright sunny day too. But I'm happy with what we got. Using my 85, I like the focal length. I'm able to keep a good distance, but again, as I mentioned, sometimes I have to take a photo more than once. And if you have to do that for candid photography, you might miss that moment or opportunity. So when I review my photos, 1 or 2 of them may be out of focus or a little bit blurry. I can't recapture that moment. It's just a lost photo. Where with my 35, that's almost never the case, but with the 35, I need to get much closer to the object or individual. I wish we got more people, but during the workday, not a whole lot of people out, just people here and there. But if I go to a busier city like Pittsburgh or even New York City, obviously it's gonna be a whole different world where you have people non-stop. I will say though, I did miss a good opportunity. Just last weekend was the Scranton Italian festival. We're around Courthouse Square. It's lined with tents and vendors selling Italian foods, and hundreds, if not thousands, of people are there all weekend. That's a great opportunity for capturing some photos, especially candid photos. So I will be on the lookout for some events coming up, whether it's in the fall or spring, summer next year, because those are just great opportunities. And lastly, I just want to say that I did do a photo walk, fall photo walk last year around Lake Scranton. And I do have plans to do another fall photo walk this year. Fall's just around the corner. But I don't have a location in mind yet. Most likely it's going to be a hiking trail somewhere where we're in the woods and we get to see all the different color leaves. So that will be coming up in the near future. But in the meantime, we'd love to hear your thoughts on what you thought of my photos today, what we captured. And if you have suggestions on future photo walks, feel free to leave them down below. Otherwise, I'll see you behind the camera real soon. Thanks for watching.